come from a school here in Quito, Ecuador, called Liceo Internacional. Our essential question is how to make our school greener. This is really important because, as you know, the planet is facing a lot of environmental problems and we need to face them from our community. And that's why we have been carrying out different projects. Now, the problem that we faced was that we were just doing isolated actions for the environment. So we decided to create an environmental management program. So the first thing that we did was to create a group of students from all the classes and also made a diagnosis on how much we were generating in wastes and also how much water and electricity we were consuming. And this is how the environmental management program was born. And now, I think I forgot to present my partners. This is Juan Martín Manteco, Daniela Ceballos, and who is talking to you, Miguel Dumendek.
Okay, now we're going to talk about we did in our school a medieval schoolyard. The medieval schoolyard started by the idea of two high school seniors, Felipe and Nicolas, who wanted to make the school greener. The objective was making the school greener, teaching our youth about the origins of our food, and teaching ourselves about how to give us food from a natural way. Mika and I helped in constructing and maintaining this garden.
Yeah, first the thing we did was cleaning up the space that the school gave us in the entrance. Then we built the beds. The beds were made of compost, earthworms, and we outlined them with wooden planks. And we covered them with black plastic so the decomposition is faster. Yeah, also we planted beneficial flowers that will help us later in the process of growing of the veggies.
After that, after the beds were ready, we started planting. We planted onions, radishes, tomatoes, lettuce, ají, or chili peppers. Next, we did a herb spiral. We digged holes in the earth and we put the bricks inside in a spiral shape. There we planted herbs such as lemon balm, lemongrass, mint, strawberries, and chamomile. After we put some finishing touches such as paths in the middle of the beds for walking and for watering the plants. Also we put sawdust in the ground because we reuse it and we get it free. And also it makes our garden look prettier, and we put some more decorative plants. We continue maintaining and doing new things in the garden and harvesting some things and planting some new things either. And also we get help from some new students for maintaining the garden and helping with future projects.
We learned a lot about the garden, and the thing that was more is important, that we learned what vegetables come from what plants. Also, we had experience to plant in different with particular seeds that needed to be ones like onion, like runner beans. You have to plant it in them in circle, and onions in straight lines. Also, the time of maturity of the plants was very interesting because in our school the cards took out 1 month more.
A fun experience was when we put corn shacks in a bed and the corn shacks had corn cobs. A few weeks later we saw that corn plants were growing up and it was really exciting. At the end of the year, the garden was really successful. We could harvest a lot of things we planted, such as onions, radishes, lettuce, and also herbs such as mint, lemon balm, and lemongrass. We had help from new students for future projects and to harvesting and to innovation.
The current situation nowadays in the yard is very good. We finished 1 yard and the school gave us a bigger place, so we're the experience that we had in the first one is helping a lot because now we know how to do it, where to plant and that stuff. Also, in the old garden, we are doing also projects like the scarecrow, and the little kids that are helping out are planting other things. Also, the school provided us a class for educating the little ones. But we have a lot of storage problems with all the materials we had, and we didn't know where to put them and what to do.
So we investigate and found a solution that was this. Who knows what is this? Oh yeah, but what is it? You don't know, like it's a bottle, but what more? Okay, so for what it is for, it's for making walls, but instead of bricks, you can use the eco brick, and you can make a wall, and these are. So our project was building a shed with eco bricks, and this was in charge of the green movement that is called Movimiento Verde or Liceo.
The objectives of our project were first, as Martin already told you, to build this shed made out of the eco bricks. We also wanted to foster new methods to reuse non-recyclable materials because we are going to explain to you that the bottles are filled up with trash that is non-recyclable. Finally, we also wanted to encourage all the students of the institution to be involved in the project, and that's why we encourage them to create their own eco bricks. The first step of the project was to train and educate students about our project. So we told them how to create their own eco brick, and we also explained them for what they were going to be used.
Then we do the creation of the eco brick that we told all the students to help us working in the eco bricks, but we also tell them this to do it in their houses and bring them to school.
Yeah, before we had collected the eco bricks, we were already starting to build the structure of the shed. So as you can see here, the internal structure is made out of columns and beams of cement because this gives consistency to the whole structure, but the refill, let's say, of the walls is made out of the eco bricks.
The collection of the eco bricks, we asked a friend to go through each class and collect the eco bricks, but some of them weren't as consistent as this one. This one is as you can see, kind of like deformed, but this one is very strong and it's compact. So we had to work of making them consistent.
Yep. The building of the shed is actually pretty simple. The first thing that you have to do, if you can see this is a chicken wire. So you put one of these chicken wires behind one of the beams, and you can attach it with these called pins and also iron bars. Then in this part go the bottles and in the eco bricks. And finally you also put a cover, another chicken wire, and then a thin layer of plaster, which is a mixture of cement. And that's pretty much all what you have to do if you want to make something out of eco bricks.
There's the shell.
Yeah, and this was the final result of the project. Yeah, we put this little window in order to show the students that actually the shed was made out of the eco bricks.
Now we are gonna teach you how to make an eco brick, and the materials used is a bottle, food wrappers or bags, and they must be clean and dry, and a metal or wooden rod that should be longer than the bottle in order to press very good and make a consistent.
The things that you must not include inside the bottles are, for example, organic wastes, hazardous wastes, and also dead or wet materials, because they may cause the construction to smell not really pleasurable. The things that you must put inside the bottles are, for example, as Juan Martin told you, plastic bags, food wrappers, and also old clothes like socks or fabric pieces that you are not going to use anymore.
Then the procedure is to, with the materials that we already mentioned, we have to put in the bottle and start filling in. And as you can see, it's like hard to do it, and it takes very long. And yeah.
The result you get is a bottle full of non-recyclable waste. An interesting fact is that inside these bottles you can actually put like 200 plastic bags. So I mean, it gives. That's why the bottles are really hard, and it's in a way difficult to make them because it takes time. But when you do it correctly, you get this type of consistency. Just a test to know if the bridge is correctly done is to step on it and see if it is deformed or not.
Okay, now some questions.
Maybe.
I have one question. Can you go backwards and for me to show us the final construction?
Okay.
That one?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, the question is how durable are these kind of constructions? Because you're replacing, in this case, bricks with bottle bricks. Like, what is your statistics on saying, okay, this kind of building will last, I don't know, 15 years or 20 years? How durable are these kind of buildings? Because if you see there are like separate, I don't know, there are separation between each bottle, meaning that it's not like consistent. So well, that's what I'm seeing.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to tell you. First of all, as I told you, the internal structure, let's say the foundations of the shed are made out of cement, so it is strong as a normal building. And the thing is that these bottles, if they are correctly done, as Juan Martin told you, they are really strong. So, despite the separation between bottles, there is not going to be any problem with the consistency, really, of the shed. This type of project has also been done in other countries, like, for example, Guatemala, in poor communities, and they have stand for many years. So, yeah, it's not really a problem. And also, as I told you, these bottles are also covered with some chicken wires, and these are also attached to the columns and the beams with iron bars, so that also gives strength to the structure. Maybe another question.
Can these bottles be replaced after, for example, an earthquake?
Yeah, of course they can be replaced, and that's the interesting thing, that maybe in some years we will have to do a type of diagnose if the bottles are still standing or not, and not you can easily replace those.
What did you use the room for?
Actually, the room was used for storing some of the materials of the garden, and that's why we built the shed.
How many bricks did you use in the building?
How many what?
Bricks.
Approximately 300. No, 300.
Yeah.
Because the thing is that we did not build 4 walls, as you can see here. ¿Puedes poner en la foto anterior? We did not build 4 of the walls. We just did 2 of them because we used 2 previous walls that were over there. So we just had to do, yeah, as you can see, we used these 2 pre-existing walls, and we just had to do these 2. So yeah, it was approximately 300 bottles. And the thing is that we encourage each student of the institution to make one of these. So we are like 600 students, so actually we had enough material for doing the shed.
How much time did it take?
I mean, the whole project took like
2 months.
2 months.
Yeah.
Especially because, I mean, it's difficult, it's really difficult to encourage the students to fill in one of these bottles. And it also takes time. I mean, if you really want to fill in one of these, you must, I mean, you will do it maybe in 1 or 2 weeks. I mean, if you want the real consistency. And also some problems were that actually we were on vacations, so the construction was delayed a bit. But yeah, it takes like 1 or 2 months.
You did the wooden frame, or did somebody?
Yeah, I mean, actually the wooden frame was made, I mean, with our help, but it was also done by the other workers in the school.
Yes, now that you have the procedure down and you know how to do it, are there any plans to take it to a poorer community or to construct something else this way?
Actually, we haven't, I mean, actually we have thought about that, and our teacher, Agustin Larquea, is actually working in a poor community, also doing this type of constructions, and they are actually building really big things like community rooms for the use of the whole community and all that. So yeah, these projects can be carried out in other places.
No more questions?
How does making these bottles encourage or discourage people from using these types of materials in general? Because I mean, the problem is that they're being used to begin with, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's a problem that people use too much these type of materials, but actually the objective is not really to reduce, but find a way to, no, I mean, the objective is actually to reuse these type of materials, not really to encourage people not to use. I mean, that's also a really good point, but the thing is that this project is just focused on reusing non-recyclable materials. And that's why all the materials that go inside the bottle are just plastic bags or food wrappers and all those kind of things that do not become non-recyclable material. Any other question?
Okay, so we are going to do an activity. So who wants to come?
You have to dance.